Recently, I've been feeling like no matter what I'm doing, everything just feels kind of slow. Whether I'm scrolling on social media, watching a film, listening to a podcast, nothing quite hits. So I put everything on 2x speed. I skip ahead. Or I watch while scrolling on my phone because I'm bored. I'm just so bored. Then one day I realized it's not just me. I mean, be honest, how many of you have already considered clicking off this video or skipping ahead to the part that you think actually matters? Yeah, I see you. In recent years, there has been a surge of people commenting on what they feel is the cultural death of the attention span. You might have heard it being described as TikTok brain or used in the term iPad kid, which is a phrase used to describe apparently an entire generation of children with incredibly short attention spans. So if we're all feeling it, that might suggest that maybe there is some truth in it. So why are the internet generations lacking in attention span? And is it possible to fix it? First, let's go over what attention actually is. According to Davenport and Beck, attention is focused mental engagement on a particular item of information, which could mean reading or watching a movie or doing a hobby, right? It's not about completing a task so much as it is about engaging with the information at hand. So why are we seemingly lacking in it? To explain it, I need to introduce you to something called the attention economy. The attention economy is a concept that essentially establishes two things. The first, that attention is a scarce resource. It states that humans only have a finite amount of attention, and any attention you do give to a single item of information means that you now have less mental capacity to pay attention to other things. The second thing that it establishes is that because of its scarcity, attention is valuable. You can think of it as an economic model where the currency is your attention. Each day you have a fixed amount of money, and each bit of attention you give dwindles your little stash of cash. This means that if you spend all of your attention money on one thing, you might lose out on the opportunity to purchase a new piece of information later in the day. So, as a responsible and frugal person, you want to be sure that the thing you're spending your attention money on is actually worth it. And at one point in time, this was really simple, right? We lived in small towns and small cities that were easily isolated. Things like schools, libraries, and universities, they just weren't accessible to most people. And so as a general population, we had far less access to information. This made it easier to know where to spend our attention money because there was only a limited number of choices. But now, it's on the floor. You've got a limitless supply of information at the touch of your fingertips. And to be honest, babe, it's doing a number on your brain. As Herbert A. Simon wrote in 1971, in an information-rich world, the wealth of information means a dearth of something else, a scarcity of whatever it is that information consumes. What information consumes is rather obvious. It consumes the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate that attention efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it. TLDR, for those of you with an attention span too short to wait for me to finish reading that quote, having access to too much information creates an information overload where your brain is rapidly trying to work out which pieces of information are actually worth your attention. This creates an attention deficit where you struggle to engage with new information meaningfully because you're aware that engaging with it limits your ability to explore other options. So instead, you engage in shallow, meaningless ways with mass amounts of information. And this only gets worse the more access to information that you have. And guess what? Bad news for your brain, babe. The internet is ever expanding. That's right. Every second there is more available to you than the second before. And as more and more information is made accessible, human attention is becoming increasingly scarce. And that means that now, more than any other time in history, your attention directly translates to money. That's right, divas. Yeah. It all leads back to capitalism. Yeah, it does, of course. Of course. Now, I want to prove this to you with a working example, right? This video. By this point in the video, you've probably seen a couple of ads. We all know ads, okay? They spring up when you don't want them to. They're a little bit annoying, but then they go away. And now it's just part of your viewing experience, right? But because you're still watching this video, you have now seen more ads than the person who clicked off at the 30-second mark. Now, those ads make money. Who's surprised? Literally no one. You sat there thinking, babe, I already know all of this. But bear with me, okay? hold your attention for a little bit longer, I'm begging you. Those ads make money for three people. They make money for YouTube, who sells the space to the advertisers, for advertisers, who make money from you buying their products, and most importantly, they make money for me. Yes, YouTuber Ellbat. I get paid 55% of the ad revenue from YouTube's sale of the ad space on my video. So essentially, I'm getting paid for putting up the billboard that YouTube put ads on. Right? Video is the billboard. Side note, whilst we're talking about ads, yes, there will be an ad read later in this video. Yes, your eyeballs do pay for my bills. Yes, they do. Listen, I'm sorry, okay, but I didn't set the system up, and I only ever advertise companies whose products I actually use and I think have real value. Okay, so I'm like ethically selling out your eyeballs. Yeah, like and subscribe, guys. Anyway, the point is, there is now a financial incentive to trap your eyeballs to this very screen. You know that for every second you spend on a social media website, you're making that platform money. But what you might not have clocked is how all of these things work together. If your attention is money, because there's only a limited supply, and that limited supply becomes even more limited the more access to information you have, and we live in a world where information is constantly becoming more and more accessible, that means that now your ever-thinning attention span has become a commodity, the most valuable you possess, more than your labor in many cases. And advertisers are willing to pay a lot of money to whoever can promise the most of it. This means that social media sites are quite literally competing for you and your limited attention. They are engineering their platforms to keep you online for as long as possible so that your eyes see more ads. But as information overload increases, audiences are less easy to hold captive. So the videos get shorter, faster, less quality, more quantity. Laughably bad or obscene just to hook you for those extra few seconds before you scroll. Think those TikTok mini shows with terrible acting and even worse plot points that somehow have 120 one-minute episodes that are so bad you watch every single one. You move on to the next reel or short or TikTok hoping the next one will make you feel satisfied, but they never do because they weren't designed to. They were engineered to trap you. They offer you endless choice, designed to put you in a state of overload on their platform, offering you more and more information from a seemingly limitless well, but in smaller and smaller sips so that you never quite quench your thirst, leaving you with these big mindless holes of time where you've been scrolling for hours but couldn't reasonably distinguish or recall between any of the pieces of information that you consumed. It's all one big, boring void. This is the dark side of the attention economy. These companies rely on you not understanding that in a late-stage capitalist economy, your attention is the most valuable thing you possess. They need you to waste hours scrolling. They need you to give away your attention freely, so they incentivize it with just enough dopamine to keep you hooked. This is why short-form content has become so prevalent. It's far more efficient at keeping you trapped on a platform than any other type of content. In fact, there is an increasing body of evidence that suggests that short-form content is the worst offender when it comes to damaging our attention. A quantitative study conducted in 2024 found that increased time spent on social media, particularly engaging in short-form content, is correlated with greater difficulty focusing on long-form tasks. Another study found that short-form videos degrade our capacity to retain intentions, with TikTok significantly degrading the ability of participants to remember to perform tasks that they'd previously planned to do. Interestingly, no other conditions, which included allowing participants to go on Twitter, watch YouTube videos, or do nothing, had similar effects on their intentions as TikTok did, which indicates that a combination of short videos and rapid context switching impairs intention recall and execution. Yeah, unfortunately, your parents were right. It really was the damn phone and the oppressive system of capitalism, but we just don't have time to discuss that right now. Your attention has been gamified for profit, and you have to deprogram that. So let me tell you how. Now, there are, as the information overloaded internet would suggest, seemingly endless options when it comes to trying to fix your attention span. For the sake of keeping things simple and transparent, I've compiled a list of research-backed practices to integrate into my routine to see if they help to improve my attention span. It is worth noting that there is an overlap in things that increase attention and things that improve productivity. productivity, but these things are not necessarily the same. Attention is your meaningful engagement with information, whereas productivity is the measurement of efficiency in completing a set task. There is definitely overlap between attention and productivity, and increasing your ability to meaningfully engage with information definitely can help improve your productivity. But in this video, I'm more focusing on increasing your ability to meaningfully engage with information. Your attention does not need to be productive in that it serves to efficiently complete a task. You can meaningfully engage with media, hobbies, arts in any capacity without it needing to serve a greater productive purpose beyond your happiness. Not everything in your life needs to create value for the shareholders, okay? I've tried to include at least one big study to back up each one of my suggested solutions, but for almost all of these, there is a much larger body of research available, so feel free to find your own sources. Also, a little note, if you are neurodiverse and have ADHD or a similar attention deficit disorder, the advice in this video may not be applicable to you, as many of the studies did not test efficacy on people with ADHD. If you want some ADHD focused research and advice, I really recommend checking out the YouTube channel How to ADHD. Here are my top discovered picks that I've been integrating into my routine to try and improve my attention span. Meditation and mindfulness. There are two angles to go at for the meditation and mindfulness approach, and one of them is that meditation can improve your attention span. The other one is that mindfulness and meditation, because it involves a dedicated absence of processing new information, can improve your ability to meaningfully engage with content at a later date, because you've just stopped engaging with lots of information all at once. You see what I mean? You're taking yourself out of information overload. Make sense? Wonderful. There is some research support for this. For example, Samantri and Stewart, 2021, suggest that meditation can improve your attention in some areas. For example, it can increase your performance in accuracy-based tasks, but not necessarily in reaction tasks. So meditation and mindfulness can allow you to engage more meaningfully and attentively, which can help you get better, more accurate results in certain tasks, but it can't necessarily help you be faster with what it is you're processing. Mindfulness and meditation can feel really daunting in terms of how to integrate it, because if your brain is used to running on new information all the time, it can feel really boring, which is fair enough, but that's why I really recommend having a guided meditation video to kind of help you. I decided to integrate meditation and mindfulness at least once a day for a month, and I've been using the sponsor of this part of today's video, Headspace. Yes, you all knew it was coming. Yes, you did. Headspace is the everyday mindfulness and meditation app, offering short mindfulness exercises, 2 minutes of breath work, and even longer guided meditation. And this variety means that you can fit mindfulness meditation into your everyday without it feeling like a chore. It's so flexible and so easy. I've been using mindfulness to help improve my focus on the here and now, as well as helping me do tasks that I've been avoiding. Yeah, like the plague, I've just really been avoiding. What I've noticed about myself is that I get incredibly stressed when I have deadlines coming up, and instead of doing those deadlines, I try to self-soothe by scrolling on my phone mindlessly for hours. Yeah. It makes so much sense, I know. So instead of doing that, I've started to use Headspace as a way to kickstart my focus on projects. So when I know I have something that I need to do and I'm putting it off, I sit down, I do a meditation or a mindfulness exercise on the Headspace app, and then I find that I can actually go into the project with much lower stress, much lower anxiety, and overall just a better, calm focus. But if you're thinking, well, listen here, Eleanor, I'm already cool as a cucumber, okay? I don't get stressed at all. Headspace also has a ton of other features. For example, if you struggle to fall asleep, Headspace have expert-led tools, guided sleep meditations, sleep casts, and breath work that can all help you to get a successful night's sleep. Just 10 days of Headspace has been proven to decrease stress and increase happiness. And by using my link in the description down below, or scanning the very conveniently placed QR code right here, you can try Headspace out entirely for free for 60 days. And that is an excellent deal. Yes, it is. We all say, we type in the comments down below, excellent deal, Headspace, thank you so much. Now, talking of sleep, the next thing I'm looking into is sleep. Rodriguez and Shigave, 2022. This study is a meta-review of basically a bunch of other sleep studies. So I'm basically going to give you the TLDR from what they're talking about, which is essentially if you want to try and improve your attention span, your brain is best prepped to be able to engage meaningfully and for sustained periods of time if you have between 7 and 9 hours of sleep regularly every night. I'll put on screen a little bit of the knowledge, the studies, the synopses of what they discovered if you're interested in all that. But as always, all my sources are linked in the description down below if you want to check them out yourself. Exercise. Burwood, OG, and Halperin, 2013. This paper reviews evidence for the direct impact of exercise on neural functioning and preliminary evidence that suggests exercise may have positive effects on children with ADHD. At present, the data is promising and there is support for the need for further study, but it is worth noting that the research out of this is not sufficient as of yet to allow people to recommend exercise as a widespread solution to kind of like help with children who have ADHD. So like exercise is not going to fix all your problems, babe, but it might help. Research in animals and human adults provides compelling evidence that aerobic exercise can enhance neural growth and development and improve cognitive and behavioral function. More limited research in children has linked greater fitness to better executive functioning, and a limited number of experimental studies have provided tentative evidence for positive effects of physical exercise on executive functioning. All of this is to say that there is a lot of evidence that suggests sustaining a good level of fitness and regularly engaging in aerobic exercise can help to improve your ability to engage meaningfully with information over longer periods of time, basically improving your attention span. Breaks. Now, this one has quite a large overlap between productivity and attention span. Most research says that taking breaks encourages you to work more efficiently when you come back, which means that you make up for all of the time that was lost during the break, which for many people, you might then be like, what was the point of taking the break? The point is you end up feeling happier because of it. Happiness up, good. And taking the break means you can come back to what you were working on with a fresh, more relaxed brain. This means that you may have a greater capacity to be able to process and engage meaningfully with the new information that you are trying to work with. It's important to fully note that the break must be a full break from intentionally consuming new information, and it should be a break ideally away from a screen. So go for a walk, get a snack, take a nap, but if you must, try listening to a podcast or doing something other than staring at a screen. Not only do studies support breaks as a good way to manage stress and reduce cholesterol levels, but halting information prevents overload and allows your brain to spend its attention money on the task you actually need it to work on. I actually did a whole bunch of research into productivity routines, so if that's something that you are interested in, I would really recommend my scientific routine videos. There's a lot of good stuff in there, particularly in my Scientifically Perfect Life video, where I talk about the science behind working, multitasking, and distractions. Ellbat, 2015. Empirical studies find significant performance decreases as a result of media multitasking and disprove the popular notion of a new generation of highly skilled multitaskers. That's right, babe. You are not as slick as you think you are. Basically, the more devices you have and you're splitting your attention between, the less likely you are to meaningfully engage with both of them. Excessive screen time, which can also apply to using a screen when it's not strictly necessary, like using a laptop instead of using pen and paper, can make it difficult for you to spend your attention money on the information at hand because the device offers you so many other things to consider. The example they use is a lecture. If you are a student in a lecture hall and you are trying to make notes on what it is that you are being taught, there is evidence that suggests the slowness of handwriting notes leads students to paraphrase, which means that you have to meaningfully digest the information you've been given, understand it enough to be able to simplify it and write it short. Right? However, when equipped with a laptop where typing is very efficient, very quick, and very easy, students are more prone to perceive the lecture as floods of words that should be written down verbatim. And the problem with this is that it causes you to not meaningfully engage with what is being taught to you and rather just kind of recite in one ear and out the other. Some studies have even referred to something they call digital dementia in young people, which is essentially because of the amount of screen time you're having, your ability to remember what it is you were doing, supposed to be doing, or have even consumed on the phone or device that you're on is much lower. The majority of studies evaluated demonstrated a range of detrimental effects of excessive screen time on neurodevelopment, learning, memory, mental health, and and potential increased risks of early neurodegeneration, which is essentially to say more screen time and multitasking is decreasing your ability to engage meaningfully with any of the new pieces of information you've got. Got it? And so how I'm adopting this into my routine is to try and teach myself to limit the amount of time I'm splitting my attention between multiple sources. For example, if I'm watching a movie, I'm not allowed also to be on my phone. Essentially, the idea is that if you are engaging with one thing, you should be engaging with that one thing only. Whether you are in a lecture hall, whether you are watching a video or a movie, whether you're painting, whether you're doing a paper, you should be training your brain to engage actively with a single piece rather than trying to search for the hundreds of other pieces that it could be engaging with. As part of this video, I'm going to be trying to cut down my screen time entirely by taking up things such as reading and writing. Cutting down on screen time also involves taking conscious breaks from all screens and engaging in offline sources of information and entertainment. And when it comes to cutting down screen time, the big one is cutting down on my exposure to short form content. I've already talked about how short form content in particular is detrimental to your attention span, and so I'm just going to be limiting my exposure to it. I'm going to be lowering it to a maximum of 1 hour a day. TikTok actually has a built-in timer to remind you when you go over this threshold, but you do actually have to have a little bit of a strong will to pull yourself away from it and actually close the app. So that's on you, I guess. Going outside. This one is because research has shown, shockingly, that exposure to the outdoors and sunlight is good for you. The main thing here is that whilst you are outside walking or engaging in your hobbies, you are doing so with the full attention of which you have to offer, which means that you are not consuming a new piece of media like your phone. You are focused on one task, and that task can be for pleasure, but you want to give it all your attention, baby girl. The next one is to drink more water. Various studies have shown that dehydration can lead to decreases in attention, concentration, and other cognitive and motor functions, as well as increase the likelihood of feelings of fatigue and headaches. Very bad, very not good. Severe dehydration has been shown to cause cognitive deficits such as a short-term memory and lower visual perceptual abilities, as well as mood disturbances, whereas water consumption can improve cognitive performance, particularly visual attention and mood. This basically means that I'm just going to be drinking a lot of water. At least 2 liters a day. Nutritional habits. Basically, there's not a lot of conclusive research that suggests that your nutrition directly correlates to improved attention. However, there is a mass body of research that suggests that having good nutritional habits improves your overall health. So I am basically implying myself that if I eat well and get a good variety of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and sugars and whatnot, that will inevitably have positive impacts on my neuroplasticity and my neural function. So I'm sat here thinking it will help my brain grow a better attention span. That's it. That's all I got for you. There are 2 specific foods that a lot of people talk about when talking about improving your memory and your attention span. And those foods, or like nutritional intakes, are black tea and blueberries. Now, there are studies that show that black tea improve your overall accuracy of task performance, which is crazy. Shout out black tea. Present findings provide tentative evidence that the attention effects of tea behave in dose-dependent manners. So essentially, it's not a set rule that drinking black tea improves your attention span. It's more about a as and when, if and how type beat. Now, caffeine's an interesting one because studies have shown that caffeine increases your ability to stay engaged with a topic. However, it's not great for you in terms of like the fact that it's kind of like a stimulant drug. Do with that what you will. Blueberries. There is preliminary evidence for the potential efficacy of blueberries as an intervention to promote cognitive performance and mood, which there's not a lot of studies for, but like any exclusive to business expense of blueberry, you best believe I'm doing it. Those things are very expensive. So a month on, did any of this work? Overall, the practices that I felt made the most noticeable differences in improving my attention span were reading, cutting my exposure to short-form content, drinking water, and going outside. Distancing myself from short, quick dopamine hits and actually forcing myself to either engage meaningfully with content or not engage at all made by far the most difference when improving my attention span. I found that the absence of new information was actually more rewarding and enjoyable than shallowly engaging via TikTok scrolling. This is also why meditation was really helpful, because it forced me to distance myself from consuming new information. Sometimes your brain just needs a rest. It doesn't need new information all the time. Okay, it needs a timeout. It's like a Tamagotchi or Nintendogs. Does anyone remember Nintendogs? You couldn't keep teaching your Nintendog new tricks over and over and over again because they got tired and needed a rest. Otherwise, they got grumpy. You are basically a Nintendog, babe. Let your brain rest. I know this was kind of like half video essay, half science-backed ways to improve a problem that you may or may not have. But the fact that something as deeply personal as your attention is now a commodity is upsetting. It means that at your core, you are viewed not as a person, but as a means for generating revenue. Like, we may be brain rotted, but it really isn't our fault when we've been raised in an environment that has done nothing but monetize and commodify every aspect of our existence. Yes, maybe you do scroll on TikTok for hours, but maybe that's because you're overworked and underpaid and too exhausted to even imagine doing anything else. Maybe because when you finally clock off, they need you to clock online. Because when you're on your phone, when you're mindlessly scrolling for hours, you're still generating them revenue. You can't do that if you're well paid, working reasonable hours in a job that doesn't drain the soul out of you, because then you'd have time and energy for hobbies, for going outside, for walks and talks, and enjoying your actual life. A big part of what this video has taught me is that my attention is a valuable, scarce resource. Not because it has monetary value and can generate shareholder revenue, but because where we invest our attention informs our life. It can dictate our mental space through our decisions. Your attention is something that you own and you possess, that you have control over. But that's not what social media in a capitalist system wants you to think. You understanding the value and significance of your attention isn't valuable to shareholders because it means you will make them work harder to capture your attention. Make them work for it. If you've made it this far, babe, congratulations. Yeah, your attention span is not busted yet. Incredible work, incredible work. Don't forget, if you want to give a little meditation, a little mindfulness a go in trying to improve your attention span, click the link in the description down below to check out the sponsor of today's video, Headspace, and give your mum a big kiss from me. Not underworked, overpaid.